Okay. We're talking about surpluses and shortages. So imagine market price right here. Let's call it P1, market price. Um, this is equilibrium. We know that. The quantity supplied is just going to look like that, right? It's just going to be around here. We can call that Q1. But that's also equal to the quantity demanded. So if quantity supply equals quantity demanded, we're in equilibrium. That's pretty self-explanatory. Um, but what happens when the market dictates that the price is up here? Well, at this point, at this price, because the price is so high, suppliers are going to produce more. So the quantity supplied is going to be quite high. All right, it's going to go from what it was initially, what Q1. Now it's going to go all the way up to Q2. The issue is at P2, the quantity demanded is not going to be equal to the quantity supplied. In this case, the quantity demanded is that's some bad labeling on my part. We'll call this QS2. We'll call this QD2. Okay, so very clearly QS2 is not equal to QD2. In this case, because the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded, right? There's so much production that not all of it is being sold, not all of it is actually being distributed and used. That is called a surplus. There's a surplus of availability. There's so much that's there that not all of it's being used, and that surplus is going to be equal to QS2 minus QD2. So that's like the actual quantity value of the surplus. There's a surplus of 500 units or something like that, right? Um, okay, this graph is kind of messy, so let's kind of clean it up real quick. I'm sure you can understand where I'm going to go with the shortage, um, but we'll go through it anyway. Let's say that the market dictates a new price, P3. Um, in that case, the quantity supplied is going to be very low, QS2, when you compare it to the quantity demanded. I'm sorry, QS3. Quantity demanded is going to be about that. So in this case, there's a shortage. Why? Because people want more stuff than there is available. You can look back at like toilet paper during the COVID pandemic. That's a perfect example of a shortage, right? The price is too low. And so in that scenario, you're going to be having a shortage of QD3 minus QS3. But you might be thinking, right, like I used the toilet paper example during COVID. As a result of the shortage, the prices of toilet paper skyrocketed. The same thing happened with the PlayStation 5, right? There's a shortage of PlayStations, then people would resell the PlayStation for like $700, $800, double the retail value. So that's a market phenomenon that happens, right? When that's the fundamental concept of economics, right? When we have scarcity, price goes up. Um, but the way that economists look at surpluses and shortages is in something called ceteris paribus. Now, we'll go more into that later, but it's a Latin term that means something along the lines of holding all other values constant, right? So even if even if a change in supply technically is going to impact demand, we look at it in isolation to actually understand its impact. And that might not make sense at first, but ceteris paribus is definitely important to know because it's going to be something that you'll use a lot in like justification, as well as why like responsive phenomenons don't happen.